Dearest listeners,
Book babes and book bros.
welcome to Book Babble. I'm Rachel,
And I'm Tanya, and we're the WitLitWomen, your host for the day.
and today we have Clover Callahan with us. Would you like to give a short introduction?
Sure. Hi, I'm Clover Callahan. I wrote The Fate Date, which is an opposites attract fake dating rom-com. And it's the first in the Glengarry Curse series. I have an Aquarius sun, Capricorn rising, and a Pisces moon. And I'm really excited to be here today.
We are really excited to have you as well, and I do have to say quickly that I loved The Fate Date. It's one of my favorite rom-coms. And I don't read a whole lot of rom-coms, so like that's saying something. So
Thank you so much.
yeah. All right, well, Clover, Rachel, we are ready to get started. Or actually, Clover, are you ready to babble?
I am. I am. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, we can get started whenever the timer starts. Okay.
Okay, so the first question I usually ask is how were you inspired to write this? Because I love this. So how did you come up with this?
Oh, thank you. So I actually was preparing for a job interview, and one of the questions they often ask is like, "What is your biggest weakness?" And I was kind of thinking about it, like just thinking about, like that specific question is often our weakness is kind of also our strength. It's just kind of taken to the other extreme. And so like that really kind of like made me think about like kind of the extreme on a scale is like you can be really, really like giving in your job, but then have poor boundaries, right? So having like those opposites and how they work together is what kind of really inspired the Glengarry Curse and that idea of like an opposites attract rom-com. So yeah, that's how it all came about.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard a response like that before. I love that. Okay, so while we're on the topic of inspiration, what character do you personally like connect with, identify the most with, or put more of yourself into than the others?
Um, So there's bits of me in both. Like for Gavin, he says all the things that I sometimes wish I could say. He is like my inner monologue, and it was like so freeing just to be like, I'm gonna write what is like going through my head or like gripes about the job. And have him like actually say it and like see what happens. Whereas Sabrina, like obviously, like she's like very near and dear to my heart. So she was who I came up with first because I was really into tarot at the time. So I was like, I want to write a heroine who's inspired by that. And yeah, then who would be her opposite? And that's how I came up with Gavin. Mhm.
Love that.
I know. So kind of leading into that, what's your process for writing? How do you get it from your head to the paper?
Oh, great question. It changes all the time. Um, I am a planner, a bit of a knitter, really. Like I have an outline and then I just like I write it, but it's more like a safety blanket. Like or like the cue cards when you're giving a speech. Like I don't often reference it when I'm writing, and so I'll kind of get to like these like big plot points, like the halfway mark or like three-quarters of the way through, and I'll go back to my outline and I'll kind of like rejig it. So I make sure like it's up to date, but I still give myself the flexibility to like try something new. And then the revision process, like I usually have a very structured draft when I get to the end of it. So the revisions I do first developmental, then line edits, then copy edits, and then I had it professionally edited after that as well. So yeah, and then going on to the publishing.
Well, I must say that your process works because it was one of the best like edited books that I've ever wrote and also one of the most like flowy books. Like everything just worked. So, great job. Um my question next is, are there any hidden Easter eggs or secrets you can tell us about the Fate Date or the Glengarry Curse saga?
So within the book, we do see Gavin tell the curse, and it's kind of like this bedtime story that he was told as a child, and like they never really put much stock in it. And so that is meant to be kind of Easter egg of what to expect. Each of the brothers has kind of like a stanza. It's like a poem, within the curse, and so that's kind of the lead up to their books because I kind of have the ideas for them all in my head. And also the tarot card reading that Sabrina does for the characters. It's meant to kind of like show what's coming up for those characters.
I'm so excited for those.
I know. I loved The Curse. I thought it was beautifully written. Are you a poet too?
No, no. I was just like, oh, I've like talked about this course. I have to like actually write it. And I did it when my kids were in the bathtub. Like my husband was with them and like I was in the bedroom being like, I guess I better write this now.
I read it and I was like dissecting it, and I'm like, okay, this is this one, and okay, what's gonna happen next? So it was really,
Yeah.
you did a great job.
It even rhymes. I'm like, I don't
I
know.
know.
Maybe
Yeah,
I
you
am a
did a
poet.
great job.
Yeah.
All right, so my very last question to fit in is how much research goes into your books? Because you do a lot of like you draw emphasis and impact from um tarot and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so a lot. I have like I read tarot. That's what I do at book signings. I'll like read people's cards if they want to. But I love research and I kind of like want to live the experience. I'm actually the next one is a firefighter romance and I get to go to my partner day. My husband's a firefighter, so I get to put on the gear, go through the blackout maze. So I'm excited for the book.
All right, you reached our 5 minutes, so great job. You made it all the way through. We will put the 5 minutes on our social platforms, and then the full episode's going to go on things like YouTube and Spotify. So we'll just keep chatting.
Great.
Um, so I did want to go back to the tarot part for a minute. I remember when you were doing your book tour that you had offered like tarot readings to ARC readers. How, like, can you talk to me about that a little bit? Like what all goes into tarot readings and that kind of thing?
Um, yeah, so yeah, I have a deck right here. So tarot is it's 78 cards. So it's different from like this right here is an oracle deck. You can have however many cards you want, whatever theme you want, but tarot it will always have the same 78 cards. There's 22 cards in what's called the major arcana, and the first card is the Fool. So it's this person starting out on a journey, and over the course of those 22 cards, they complete their journey. The last card is the world, and it's kind of like going from like the individual to kind of like the broader global scale. And then after that, you have what's called the minor arcana. So those are the four suits, the cups, which is relationships and feelings, emotions, the wands, which is all about creativity. We've got the swords, which is like the mental realm, your communication, your thoughts, ideas, opinions, and the pentacles, which is like the material realm, your house, your home, your health, your job. And then again, you've got a cycle. So you've got ace to 10, and then there's also court cards as well. So those are like the major arcana are more like the bigger like life themes and like turning points within your life, whereas the minor arcana are more like your daily gripes and ups and downs. And so when I do a tarot reading, like everybody is different, but I use it more for like personal reflection similar to how people might use like a meditative process or a journaling process. I like usually ask a question. You want to make it kind of open-ended, not yes or no, like something where you have power and control. So if there's something on your mind, you can just like take the opportunity to take a moment, pull some cards, and then you make a story out of them. You say like, how do these cards go with the question that I asked? How does this apply to my life? How does it not? And it becomes not so much about the cards, but about like the moment. And when I read for other people, it's a really special moment where someone gets to just kind of feel seen for a moment, where they get to kind of talk about what's on their mind when otherwise we kind of like just keep that stuff down or maybe not give it the attention that it needs. So yeah, that's what I really enjoy about it.
I love that because so like I've never really dug into tarot too much. It's just every time I've looked into it, I've been so confused and you broke it down exactly this like the way that I needed to understand it. But I love that you're kind of using it therapeutically.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love that.
I do too. I took a trip to the desert once and did a lot of soul searching and a lot of use of like Oracle decks, and it was really cool. So I love seeing those kinds of experiences that I've had reflected in books that I read, right? So it's just really cool. Um, so you talked about like the fireman trope. What are other tropes that we can look for in the next book?
Oh, great question. I haven't written much of it yet. I've been kind of like sidelined on another project, and but for that one, I don't know if this will make sense to you, but I'm kind of picturing it like 10 Things I Hate About You meets Ted Lasso. if that can make sense. So
I'm
I
very
I
intrigued.
love 10 things I hate about you, so I'm like 10 times more excited now.
So like the female heroine is like gonna be kind of based off of cat, and kind of more black cat golden retriever, and like he will be more based off of Ted Lasso and very like brawny and like just like the team player, where she is like very ambitious and kind of wants to get to the top, and they are both firefighters and they kind of have to work together. um Again, they're very opposite, but I want it to be more of like a friends to lovers, which is a tricky one to write, because like you don't want to like, you kind of have to explain like why they were not lovers in the first place, right? And so, and like, are you going to show that friendship development, or are they just established friends? So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm grappling with right now, but I am excited for it. Yeah, I've written some scenes. There's a scene with like an actor like dummy where they're practicing their first aid and they've like drawn on the volleyball. So it's like there are like lots of little silly moments. And like I said, I draw a lot from my husband's experience. So mhm.
That's
So
amazing. I
cool.
can't wait. I'm so excited. Do you have any advice to aspiring authors that you would like to give them right now? Just anyone on their journey who might need a little bit of inspiration or anything.
Ooh, so I've been thinking about this a lot, because yeah, like where I want to go, even like with my writing and stuff. But I would just say to remember that writing is a creative, iterative process. And publishing is part of that process. But if you get so hung up on like the outcome that like you kind of miss like the important part, which is like getting to write the book, and like that hard work that goes into it. I actually just did a post on my Substack about the Eight of Pentacles and about like the the grit that it takes to do it. But I think the most important thing is like if you want to be a writer, you need to write. You know, like
Yes.
your desires don't define you, you know, your actions do. And like as simple as that sounds, you will figure out the how. The how like will come to you. And the how usually comes to you because you write really badly at first, or like you're just figuring it out, and then you get the feedback and you grow and improve. But it's like that, it doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be this toxic productivity kind of mindset. It's just if you're a writer, you need to write. Like that would be my only advice. Hmm.
My gosh. So how do you deal with like writer's block? Do you ever experience that?
A little bit. Usually after the third act breakup, because I write my books for the breakup. Like from the opening scene, like we already, or even from the meet cute, they're already like I'm laying the dominoes, and then they all fall down, and then they break up, and then I'm like, oh no, I've broken them up too good. Like, what am I gonna do? How do I fix this? So I often like get to that point where like I'm like, and then there's a grand gesture and they figure it out. And I have not outlined what that looks like whatsoever. So that's usually like my big point. And what I do is like this might sound silly, but I kind of like take myself out of the chair. I go for a run. I go out skiing when it's winter time. I move my body, and I find like there's like a real like embodied connection to my creativity, as like weird as that sounds, like where I just got to get out of my head. And as soon as like I get out of my own way, I figure it out. So like for me, like if like physically exhausting myself is the way that I do that. So then I can just like I'm too tired to care. And then the idea comes to me.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of work through things.
I actually saw something recently that said like when you're stuck, it's not that you're stuck, you're just kind of like afraid of the outcome and afraid of doing something the wrong way that people aren't going to like. So it kind of ties into that, you exhaust yourself and you just don't care. Like you're just gonna write it the way that it originally should have been written, and you don't care if people like it or not. Like, I love
And
that.
you can always rewrite it. Like I had a whole alternate ending to this book. There was a car chase, like it was like
What?
I know. Like there was like someone like yeah, like Malcolm was I think like internet like bombing like her site and like bringing down our business, and then they like stormed into his house, and I was like, this is out of control. Like this does not need to be this dramatic. We've got to kind of like tone this down. And I really wanted to focus on like the characters and like what they did, like hold them accountable for their actions, right? Especially Gavin. Like
Yeah.
he built those bridges, and he's gotta like he has to kind of deal with them. So
Oh my gosh, I kind of want to know what this car chase scene was like. Like, that sounds insane.
but
Well, Clover, we are just about finished with our time here. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about? Anything you wanted to tell your readers?
oh gosh. No, I don't think so. I do have an alternate, or sorry, not an alternate. I do have like a little novella I wrote with Caitlin Collins called Ringing the New Year. So if you want more Gavin and Sabrina, you can check it out there. It's on KU. It's all spicy that you can get when you sign up for my newsletter. And yeah, yeah, no, that's good. Did you want me to pull a tarot card for you before you go? I don't know if you have time, but
Rachel, do you want her to pull one for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
sure. Oh, okay. Any specific questions on your mind, or do you want to hold them in your head?
I'll hold them in my head because I don't know what to say out loud. So I've not done this virtually before. This is exciting.
Ooh. So we have the Ten of Cups. This is a really lovely card. So again, Cups is the suit of emotions, feelings, relationships, and the 10 is the end of the suit. It's kind of the happily ever after card. The important thing to note is that, so this is, I think, a really positive sign for whatever you're working on. If there is a relationship kind of at play here, it's kind of building towards that sense of stability. But we see the rainbow here. We've got the full spectrum of emotions. And so it's really about embracing the moment, the highs, the lows, because we can't stay in this moment. It's not stagnant. Our relationships are constantly evolving. So when you see these beautiful kind of tender moments, that's your rainbow, that's your glimmer, and kind of to hold tight to those.
I think you just made my whole day. Thank
Oh,
you.
great. I'm so glad. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, of course. I hope to have you on again soon once your next book comes out and we'll do some more chit-chatting.
Sounds